Star Wars 7 by 7 episode 2589. As we get nearer to the Bad Batch season finale, the penultimate episode comes out tomorrow, it's time to address a very big lurking question in the room, which is, will we see Darth Vader in the Bad Batch? Punch it. Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7 by 7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy, and thank you so much for joining me for it. So, the idea of Darth Vader appearing in the Bad Batch, this is not a new idea by any stretch of the imagination. Folks have been discussing this for quite a while, and certainly, ever since the Bad Batch debuted back on May 4th, that conversation has only continued to go on. And honestly, I have not paid a lot of attention to it, and I'm not operating from any inside information or anything like that. I just thought, hey, let's see what happens and where it goes. But now that we're approaching the end of season 1, I thought, yeah, let's take a look at it. And there was something that particularly got me to reconsider the notion, and that was something that happened in the Galaxy of Heroes mobile game that's out there. So, as we've talked about on the podcast from time to time, there are characters that are occasionally introduced through the mobile game, and these are, sort of reveals in a sense. They are new bits of information that reflect upon Star Wars storytelling from time to time. And this time what happened was, there's a character being introduced, which is a legendary Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader character. So basically it looks like Anakin after he fell to the dark side in Revenge of the Sith, but a little bit before he gets toasted by Obi-Wan on Mustafar. And the point of all this is that for the unlock for this character, there are a bunch of requirements, and characters from the Bad Batch have been introduced to this game as well, and having all of those Bad Batch characters leveled up is part of the requirement for unlocking the Vader thing. So that made me start thinking to myself, oh, does that mean that we're going to have some Darth Vader interaction with the Bad Batch in the Bad Batch? And I had to remind myself that Anakin and the Bad Batch have already interacted. So if you go back to season 7 of the Clone Wars and the arc where the Bad Batch were introduced, they were all on the mission together to Skako Minor, where they rescued Echo from the tortures of the Techno Union and Wat Tambor and all that horrible stuff. So yes, Anakin's already had interactions with the Bad Batch, so that means that the combination of those characters in the game isn't actually something new, and therefore not flagging that there's going to be something new happening in the Bad Batch. So then the next question becomes, what was Darth Vader doing during season 1 of the Bad Batch? And we don't necessarily know how long things have been going on in season 1. A couple of months maybe or so, roughly, but certainly it's been enough time for Anakin to be toasted by Obi-Wan on Mustafar, and from there we actually know a lot about what Darth Vader has been up to. So the second comic series for Darth Vader, which was called Darth Vader Dark Lord of the Sith, and was written by Charles Soule, who is one of the High Republic story architects as well. So that story arc actually chronicles a good chunk of, I think, the first year of Vader's life in the suit. And in particular, the first 2 story arcs deal with Vader not having a lightsaber anymore because Obi-Wan took Anakin's lightsaber at the end of that fight in Revenge of the Sith. And so Darth Vader has to go start hunting Jedi, and in particular hunt a Jedi from whom he can take a lightsaber and take the crystal in it, the Kyber crystal, and bleed it red to turn it into a Sith lightsaber. So that's the first story arc. That certainly very much simplifies the events of the first story arc. And then in the second story arc, we are introduced to the Inquisitorius, which is the group of former Jedi that have been corrupted and are now the Sith Inquisitors, like, the brothers and the sisters, which we've met in various places, including Rebels and Jedi Fallen Order as well. Well, in the comics, we get the origins of that group of bad folks, and Vader's learning to work with them as well. So yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible that Vader could take a little bit of a detour from dealing with having to get his own lightsaber and having to set up the Inquisitorius. And Also, while this is going on, Palpatine is testing out other possibilities for somebody who would be his apprentice. And, that's a whole other situation entirely. But basically what I'm getting at is that first year, like the major events of what he's been up to are chronicled pretty specifically, and they are very much tied to the work that he was doing with Palpatine in gathering control over what used to be the Republic is now the Empire, gathering control of himself and his own situation, getting his castle set up on Mustafar, like that business too, right? So yeah, Vader's really busy at these first couple of months post Order 66, and so that's the reason why I don't particularly think he is going to show up in season 1 of The Bad Batch. That being said, it certainly seems like Lucasfilm enjoys bringing Darth Vader into stories whenever they are able to. I mean, if you think about all the major storytelling projects that have happened since the acquisition of Lucasfilm by Disney, well, Darth Vader is a touchstone in the sequel trilogy for Kylo Ren. He appears in Rogue One. He appears in Star Wars Rebels. He appears in Jedi Fallen Order. Heck, they even worked him into that new Thrawn trilogy, the first new Thrawn trilogy, right? Thrawn and Thrawn Alliances and Thrawn Treason. That particular trilogy, not the whole Chaos Ascendancy situation. It's Thrawn Ascendancy and Chaos Rising. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, there's certainly every indication and every reason to believe that Lucasfilm will bring Darth Vader into the Bad Batch at some point, but based on Darth Vader's history as we know it so far, doesn't seem like they're going to do it for season 1. At least that's what I'm putting my marker on, and love to hear from you about whether you think he's going to make a surprise appearance in either of these last 2 episodes. Chime in wherever you happen to see a comment section where you're catching this episode, or at home base at sw7x7.com. And that is going to do it for this episode of the show. It just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for it as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2021 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.